Welcome to Skin and Soul. I'm Gwenm Carsley, a transformational body, sex, and soul coach, and I'm inviting you on a bold, unfiltered journey into the heart of our humanity through the lens of Eros. This is where we strip away the shame, dive into the unspoken, and embrace the wild, raw truth of our desires. Together, we'll crack open the taboo, uncover our deepest intimacies, and awaken the pulse of our sexual essence. Because real transformation, it's messy, it's thrilling, and it's oh so delicious. Buckle up, loves. Skin and Soul Beyond the Pale starts in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hello there. I'm Gwenm. I'm your host of Skin and Soul Beyond the Pale on the new Transformation Talk Revolution, which is on the Transformation Network. I want to welcome today Brownell Landrum. I'm so excited. I'm skipping over my words already. She's a speaker, an author, an explorer of the metaphysical highway. She's a timeline jumper. And today we're going to talk about a couple of her books, or the topics within there: A Love Story to the Universe and The Art and Science of Wishing. And I am so excited for this because she is someone who emanates love, inspiration, and just to elevate consciousness on this planet, which I know we need more than anything. And 2025 has been a doozy. So
It has.
welcome. It has. It has. So I just finished your book, A Love Story to the Universe, which I loved because it speaks to my heart, which is so poetic and dives us into the love story from different perspectives, which so I want to talk a little bit around soulmates,
Yeah,
longing, love, lust, all of that. Yeah. And in this case, these soulmates were not necessarily predestined to be together.
that's true.
hmm Which is really interesting because usually we think, okay, everything is kind of mapped out. So I was wondering if you just like explain a little bit around the mapping
Yeah, the
system.
whole idea of that story, is it's semi-autobiographical. And I've
Mhm.
never been there before. I've written fiction and nonfiction, but I've never written a sort of about myself. And it's not all true, which I'm sure you're going to ask me what's true and not true. But it was really an interesting experience as I was writing it because I thought, oh, I'm going to write a story, like you start. And then I thought, well, I'm going to write it from the point of view of what I call the upstairs, right? And so it's like, what are they thinking and looking down at the humans that they're working with? And as I'm writing it, I'm starting to realize like they're telling me who they really are. This is real.
Yeah.
Like I really have these guides upstairs, and they're pretty funny too. So they got a lot of character and personality. And so they're describing what was happening to me kind of in real time. So it was a very, metaphysical, meta kind of thing. Um, and because of some things that happened in my life earlier, and some big transformations, because we're a transformation network, right? Some big transformations that had happened in my own life. My original soul plan was I won't even say interrupted. It was ended, or it was basically put aside for a new path. And that new path was not written. It was not in the Akashic records. It was not something that was predestined. So I knew that I was kind of starting out with a clean slate anyway. And then I'm writing the story, and basically, I like to call them traffic angels. Like there's people upstairs that are like, okay, this person's here and this person's here. How do you get them together?
Mhm.
And they were orchestrating this. And so, how do you take an American woman in Aspen, Colorado, and introduce her to a British man in Tunisia? Like that was a lot of logistics. And I like to look at them as like border collies because they're just going to keep whacking us on the side until we get in
Mhm.
the line that they want us to be in. And they did that a lot, because that free will can get in their way. But they had, they were determined to make that happen. So yeah, it was not your normal, like, okay, I know that this is a soul contract. I know that
Mhm.
it was happened before we were born. We decided we were going to do this. We are going to meet at this certain age and this kind of, we are going to have these experiences before we met. And I don't think any of that was predetermined. And for me, it wasn't, I mean, because I knew everything was going to be rewritten, then it wasn't as much of it was a surprise to go through the whole experience, but it wasn't a surprise that it wasn't something predestined, right? But for
Mhm.
him, I'm sure it was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, and I think maybe for his life, he was going in a direction, and they probably, which I think they do, come in and intervene and go, you know what, we need to put you over on this path because you're going too far down that other one. So anyway, I don't know if I answered your question, but soulmates, you want to get deeper into the whole concept?
I do.
Okay.
Because I feel like in my life, and starting from very young, that I know when I've met a soulmate, right? Like in terms of, and they're not always romantic soulmates. So
Right.
I know that there's people that are so anchored into my life, they are part of that soul contract, right? They're anchors. I've
Yeah.
also felt angels. I haven't been in tune enough to be able to name anybody, but I can definitely sense when um, there's an interference or a definite bringing together. Like I can name like certainly, and for the love, I'm going to call them the love of my life, is just there was a just a feeling like of oh, I know, like as soon as that interaction hit that collision, I was like, oh, I know. Yeah, so I'll
Yeah.
let you explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, there is sometimes, first of all, I agree with you. I think
Mhm.
my definition of soulmate is someone you were destined to meet.
Mm.
Okay. So that can be a lot of people. And sometimes it's not always happy and positive. That's when we can
Mhm.
get kind of twisted. Like this person came into our life because we needed to learn this experience. And so it can lead us there. And so I do think that, and I think that there are times when you're like, this means something. And I know that with
Mhm.
this experience that I wrote about in the book, I had to go through it. I had to see it through. And we go through this kind of life experience where somebody like, oh, leave that because it's not going the right direction. And if so, either you end up circling back or you learn that lesson somewhere else because you
Mhm.
still got to learn that lesson. And so walking away from a lesson isn't going to help you learn the lesson. Rarely is
No.
it the lesson to walk away, right?
Yeah.
It's to learn something, and then you can let go or you can move forward, right? That's when you kind of have that empowerment. Um, so yeah, and I think that I think some people are did way before they're born. They probably had multiple lifetimes with the same person. They kind of know this is the person they're going to be with. That's who they've mostly been with. And then I think a
Mhm.
lot of us have decide, no, we're not going to have just one person. We're going to spend most of our life alone, because that's another lesson and that's another soul growth path. So I think it kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah, I like the idea of the soulmates being anybody and that it can be even those that we don't particularly like, that they're there to give us lessons. And then I always think so there's all these different gradients. I don't know, this is how I think of it in my mind. There's these different
Yeah.
gradients, and that we have our soul groups, or we have our, it's kind of how I logically put it up there. And that we have this soul love. And you're right, some people will spend a lifetime alone. I think, and some people will just be happy being in a life with somebody that I'm not even sure that they've consciously or entered into with full heart, right? So I think when you meet that cataclysmic person that makes you open up in ways that you could never open up, that's magical. I don't know. I'm the hopeless romantic, so I'm sitting there rooting for them completely. And
Yeah.
I love that the end is never the end, right? That no matter what it is, you're just never escaping it because it will haunt you, whether it's in this lifetime or the next. It will keep coming back
That's right.
until
And
you figure it out. Yeah.
that's why I love to write reincarnation stories, right? Because,
Mhm.
and I've written a bunch of fiction that way. I came out with a trilogy last year, as you know, called We Meet Again. And that's this epic reincarnation mystery and love story about a famous couple from history who's reincarnated today to fulfill a prophecy that'll change the world. So it's kind of like a Da Vinci
Mhm.
Code love story kind of thing. And I love writing, and then this one, of course, was more semi-autobiographical, but I love writing the reincarnation stories because you get to know a couple now, and then you think, who were they before, and who they were they before
Mhm.
that, and then you weave the stories together because how they were in this other lifetime leads to the next lifetime, leads to the next lifetime, and they layer on top of each other. So and the end is never really the end if it's a reincarnation story. That's kind of the message, right?
Right. And so In terms of this story with Robert, there you say at one point that there's no karma between you two. Did I read that right? Yeah. So there was no karma. And so bridging the togetherness, I'm wondering, is there karma now?
Wow, that is a great question. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, undoubtedly, because we both learned, and we both, he's read the book, or at least through the first three sections, and I know that he learned a lot through that, and I know I've learned so much through it, and so karma. Of course, a lot of people think karma is like punishment,
Mhm.
and maybe I don't
None.
know, but mostly it's a lesson and something that we can either bring us to something better, or sometimes can be like, okay, I'm not going to do that again, right? That's not
Yeah.
going to work. And if we don't learn the lesson, then sometimes we have to repeat it in order to learn the lesson. So yeah, I guess I would say that. I wouldn't say it's negative, all negative karma or all positive karma, right? I just think that there were things that, like, there's always that, if I could have done this differently, how, or if I'd known what I know now. What's that old Faces song? If
Yeah, if
only
I
I knew.
you
I
knew
wish
now,
that
I
I
knew
knew what
then.
I know now when I was younger. That song. I love that song. Then you go, okay, I would have done it differently, right? And I didn't know about attachment styles, when I met him. So that was a big learning experience, and that elevates my knowledge about people and relationships in a way that I would have never gotten to.
Yeah,
So
because you're securely attached, from what I gathered. It's like you're really centered in yourself, and that was a really confusing experience. Like, what's going on here right now in terms of avoidant, dismissive? Yeah.
it was. I would say that if anybody's been in a relationship with a dismissive avoidant, and I have so much compassion for them, right? I mean, we
Hmm.
can we can bash them for what they do, but you have to look at what the root is, what caused where they
Hmm.
are, and understand that they're in constant masking and constant fear of monitoring their energy, right?
Yeah.
I know I was reactive, and I would react a little bit anxious at moments, and I would react a little bit dismissive at times, until I started getting kind of clarity of, I'm not going to react anymore. I'm going to decide who I am, and I'm going to decide what I am, and I'm going to be secure. In my mind, I used the word steadfast until I started researching the
Yeah.
attachment. But that's sort of the same thing. Like, I'm going to be steadfast. He can be whatever he wants to be, but I'm going to be who I am, and I'm not going to be so reactive. So yeah, it was a lot of learning.
Hmm. So um, did that experience open you up more to love, or are you like, good to be alone now, or I don't, or you're like, oh, we might cross paths again and end up somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm definitely I experienced a lot of things with him that I'd never experienced. And so, even if nothing happens,
Hmm.
I'm so grateful for what happened, right? I'm so grateful for what I learned. I'm so great, because I wouldn't have written that book. And then that
Hmm.
book led to my newest book, The Art and Science of Wishing, and that's opened up my life in ways that I never could have imagined. So I like to call, I have a kind of a phrase that I come up with, that I call reverse optimism, when you can look back and go, oh, that had to happen that
Hmm.
way to me. And so
Yeah.
you think, wait a minute, these things that may have not felt fun at the time actually took you on the path where you're going. And so, yeah, I'd say very much open, and very much in a different kind of mindset in terms of love and relationships, because I am, now in my life, I've got so many things I'm doing. And
Mhm.
so I am more flexible in terms of, do I have to have 24/7 somebody all the time, this big long trajectory, or can I just enjoy another person without all the attachment of, where's it going to go, and how we're going to do logistics, and who's going to move where? Just to be a lot more released and relaxed on that, I think, is definitely where I am now.
Would you share of where he is in your life today, like within
Um,
your life?
I still hear from him,
Hmm.
and It's kind of typical with the dismissive avoidant that they have what they call the phantom X.
Hmm.
And they keep thinking about the one person. I mean, he does tend to follow me on social media, so he may see this and we'll see, or, on these podcasts, but they tend to stay attached to one person. He said I cared about him more than anyone else ever has. Since I know you get into the physical, he said he never felt that with anybody like he had with me. The same was true with me on that level. And that was such a breakthrough for me and so many beautiful ways. And so I think it's for him, it's safer to be away and think about me than to be with me. And because one of the things that's so interesting about them from a chemical standpoint, and we don't need to spend all the time on attachment styles, but when they start feeling the oxytocin of attachment and that closeness, they
Yeah.
immediately triggers cortisol and they push away. Like it's a chemical reaction for them.
Hmm.
So it's painful to be with the person they care about the most.
Hmm. Yeah, because it raises all that insecurity and all of the turmoil, the trauma. It's viscerally in the body. And just
Right.
to add, and you say it at some point, which is that any attachment style can be healed and worked through. It's not like you're like somebody is doomed or fated to stay in that type of attachment style, but it is definitely something to be aware of and then to work through.
Right. And once
Yeah.
the more you're aware of it, like if I had any regret, is I wish I would have known that that's what it was,
Hmm.
and then I could have handled it. I would have known he's withdrawing. Oh, he needs to withdraw. He's feeling too much. He's got this, DA thing. I'm fine. I mean, like I'm so independent. You go take your time. I would have
Yeah.
been, I would have just totally gotten it and said, no worries, I'm okay. Like it just
Yeah.
wouldn't have, I would have understood that this is what's happening. Just like if somebody has something else going on in their life and they're like, let's say they have an ill mother or something and they have to go
Hmm.
leave and take care of that. I'm like, okay, I'm still here. Like, I'm not going to freak out that you're doing that. And that's, I guess one of the reasons why I wanted to put it in the story is that if anybody else is going through that, because apparently 20 to 25% of people have that. And that's a
Hmm.
really scary number. And we sit there and we want to call them narcissists. And he asked me if I
Yeah.
thought he was a narcissist. And I'm like, no, you're a dismissive avoidant. There's a very big difference between,
Hmm.
they look the same from this end, but from that end, the motivation and everything is a totally different thing.
Yeah, and I
So
definitely think that narcissism is thrown around these days like it's just a trendy, buzzy word to use. Like psychopath, you're a sociopath, all of these words are just thrown and labeled onto people without realizing that people come from their own experiences. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're working through our lives to grow, and it gets uncomfortable. And so people check out. And so they're like, because the body's unable to handle it. But what I like the idea around like soulmates is that they keep being drawn together,
yeah,
right? Doesn't matter what that they keep even. And it's interesting that they weren't predestined to be together, and yet here are these soulmates. And I guess I'm thinking of it as love soulmates, the predestined kind of love connection that keeps coming back in lifetime over and over again, because they're like, this is good to experience together. Um, but it wasn't fated and yet ended up being fated, which is
yeah.
what I love also, showing that yes, we have a path and we have a map, and we can throw the map out the window and we can start to carve our own pathways, that we really do have choice. And then you talk about like the super consciousness, the subconscious, and the consciousness, where, and I'm going to lose myself in my own train, but the more you can connect into the consciousness, and I think the super consciousness,
Yes.
the more the subconscious, the body starts to reveal, yes, its desires, like the thing, oh yeah, I really want this, and all the other parts like, oh no, you don't. You can't do that. There's no way, right?
That's right. And that's why, the simplest way I like to explain it, and I explain it in my first book, it's called Five Reasons Why Bad Things Happen. But it's like we have a soul that existed before we were born and will exist after we die.
Mhm.
And that soul chooses a body and becomes us. So there's a part of us that's our consciousness, that's the superconscious or the soul level or the spirit, if you want to talk about mind, body, spirit. And then the connection of the two is the mind or the conscious, right? And then but the subconscious is the body. When I realized that the subconscious was the body, that just opened up everything to me. And it lives in this world of this physical plane and this survival of the fittest mentality of Earth, and it has its own rules. And so often, especially when we're talking about a lot of spiritual people, they like to cut off that part of the body, like, oh
Hmm.
no, I'm going to transcend it and be but the body has to be brought along. And
Yeah.
I know I've told you this story before, but one of my favorite ways to look at it is like, imagine you've got like a neighbor and they're walking their dog. And like, I like to imagine like this big burly guy and this little bitty dog, but doesn't really matter. But they're walking the dog and then the dog runs off. And what usually happens? They yell at
Yeah,
the
it was
dog.
great.
They
Hmm.
scream at the dog, come back here. What are you doing? No, 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 don't, no, no. But if the guy is saying, oh, it's fun over here, come on over here, the dog is going to go, yeah, okay, I'm there, I'm going to go where you. I'm like, totally different energy. And that's how the body is like the dog, right? It's like
Hmm.
if we make it fun, the body will do a lot of the things we want it to do. But if we suppress it, then it's going to try to find ways to do things that probably aren't good for us because it's not
Yeah.
allowed to have fun, right? You gotta let the body have fun, and I know you're all about that.
Oh, I'm totally about that. And it's I think it's as soon as we try to force the body to do something. So I
Yeah,
say like, pleasure capacity is about it's not just, oh, I want to have the most amazing sex and the most like amazing life. Because everybody wants an amazing life. Everybody wants like I shouldn't say everybody wants, but like the generality is we want great lives, we want great partners, we want great sex. And so why aren't we having it? Right? Like it's just why aren't we doing it? And then all of these things show up in the body. It's just to me the body is actually a truth teller. So it's
yeah,
it's the it's the highest form of truth you can find it. It gets confusing because we misread the signs of danger, danger, danger of like, oh, I can't go there. But it's to, like you said, sit in communion with, like to be able to sit and say, oh, I'm going to accept this part of myself. I'm going to listen to this part of myself. I'm going to look at this part. Like, what the hell is showing up here? And why do I keep sabotaging myself? Or why can't I enjoy myself in this moment? I have everything I want. I won the $1 million, right?
yeah. Well, and exactly like you said, listen, because if you just
Hmm.
say to your body, what do you want to do right now? I mean, that's very simple. And if you eat consciously, so every bite you're enjoying the food. Because
Hmm.
I know that most of us know the feeling of, okay, I shouldn't eat that donut. Oh, I don't even remember eating that donut. Like it's gone. Like you
Hmm.
kind of leave your body. And because you're feeling guilty about it, your body's like, I'm going to sneak that donut in, and then you don't even enjoy the donut.
No.
And so it might as well as like, okay, body, if you want that donut, we're going to enjoy every bite of that donut. I mean, we are going to
Hmm.
savor that freaking donut. And then the body is all, and then my body likes to exercise. So I give her that, I don't have to force her to do that. But it really, like one friend of mine said that she thought it was so amazing to kind of eat with me because I would be conscious about every bite. I can look back at meals and remember every bite. And
Hmm.
most of us don't do that.
No.
And that's a one way, the simple way, just let your body enjoy it, you know? And then you don't need to eat the whole bag of chips. You can enjoy a few and it's plenty.
Oh my God. So my wife used to say, she'd be like, just have one piece of chocolate, Gwenm. And I'd be like, you have one Lay's chip and we'll talk. Okay, we'll just
Well, maybe not one, but it's still
maybe
it's a lot.
not one, but yeah,
Yeah,
taking
at
the
least you're gonna be
time.
if you're gonna eat the whole bag, then enjoy
Mhm.
it. I
Then
mean, like
enjoy the bag.
celebrate the enjoyment of it as opposed to feeling guilt because it's not going to help. Like one of my favorite stories related to the body was a friend of mine was a workaholic and it was Labor Day weekend and she was going to work the whole weekend.
Hmm.
And she goes to a Thai restaurant. She leaves the restaurant. She trips over the curb and twists her ankles. She's in bed all weekend. That was her body
Yeah.
saying, I'm not working. I don't care what you say. I'm going to if this is what I have to do to get you to not work, I'm going to do this. I mean, and we don't want that. Like nobody wants that. But if you
No.
say to the body, look, if we work all day Friday or all day Saturday, but we're going to have fun on Sunday and Monday, the body's like, okay, I'm there. What do you need to do?
Hmm.
Make it a
And I
game too, I mean, make it fun.
and listen to I like to listen because actually that just reminded me of your traffic angels, right?
Yeah.
They will come in the way, and I think Joe Dispenza talks about it in terms of like if you're not in your body, if you're not in your presence, even though you weren't meant to get into the car accident, the fact that you were not paying attention to where you were in that moment, so that you get caught up in other energies instead of being very present in your in this moment. So most people are checking out, especially right now.
Yeah.
90% of the time they're on their phones, they're on their computer, whatever it is. And even when they're in the presence of people, you ever see, like, I don't know, people having dinner? I hate that. Or just like, I just want to take their phones and throw them. I'm not
Yeah.
controlling whatsoever, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to, I just because I'm always mindful of time. And so moving into the art and science of wishing, because the book ends with, I mean, it starts to talk about wishing and the power of wishing. And which is, I mean, I equate it to a form of manifestation. And so I just explaining to people the difference between wishing, prayer, manifestation.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so people kind of have a context, the book A Love Story to the Universe is written in four parts. And the fourth part gets into this, I start kind of conjuring this magical realm. I call it Astrea, and it's like this world where wishes are gathered and sorted and granted, and it's got imagine this town square, hustle and bustle. Wishes are going here, and there's a museum of lost wishes, and a history of wishing, and there's a wishing comedy club where they're laughing at humans' wishes, and there's all this kind of world. And as I'm writing it, there's also kind of a crisis happening there. And I think that kind of what you're saying too is, and maybe alluding to is, we're kind of in a crisis right now of
Mhm.
wishing, and that we are kind of being forced into this lower level energy, and we're kind of losing our faith in the wishing. And one of the things that was so interesting about writing the book, and I'll get to that in a second, but is that, well, as I was writing it, I was just writing this magical world and just imagining
Mhm.
like how our wishes answered, how they manifested, all that kind of stuff. And I'm definitely going to get to your answer of your question, just so you know.
Mhm.
Um, and then I was listening to a lecture on neuroplasticity one night, just for fun. That's my that's my kicks. And I was like, wait a minute, there's science in wishing.
Mhm.
And then that led me to write this book. So I want to be clear, I'm not a scientist. And I play one on TV, but sorry, I couldn't resist. But so I started looking at that, like, okay, understanding. And one big thing is wishing has been a driver of survival and success for humanity. I mean, since the beginning of time. And we're losing that. And in my
Mhm.
fictional story, I imagine, like, can you imagine what would happen if we had a world where everybody stopped wishing?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
really, you can
and
feel the
you can
devastation of
feel
that.
the, and we keep going from, and what popped into my mind was the sense of like everything gets reflected back, let's say in fashion, how people have been showing up, or there was this grunge area where I'm going to say, to me, it's reflecting back right now. We're in a dystopian, everything is dystopian. And so
Oh,
we're losing this sense of magic. And wishing has that unknown, what I consider in the metaphysics, right? And to
yes,
me, there is that. I love that it's an art and a science, because they are the same thing. They're just two
yes,
different perspectives of the same coin,
yes,
and you need them both. Uh, and so when we tip too much to one side, we're losing the magic, and we're saying, "Oh, this is hyper realism." But really, in order to, I don't know, expand, grow in consciousness, keep growing, we need the magic. We need the unknown.
yes. And that goes back to your question, what's the difference? This is one of the things that I had to answer right away, right at the beginning of the book, is what's the difference between a wish, a prayer, and a
Hmm.
goal?
Hmm.
Right? And a goal is something you can say, I'm going to do this. It's something in your control. It's like, okay, I want to lose 10 pounds. You can set up your plan. That's what I'm going to do. And a prayer is when it's out of your control. I, I can't do anything about it, so I'm going to release it to whatever higher power that you believe in. And wishes are in that kind of beautiful middle ground. And that there's some elements of it in your control, and some elements that are not in your control. And then I kind of thought, well, let's propose this idea of what I call cosmic wishing. And
Hmm.
cosmic wish says, okay, here's a wish, but then what's a cosmic wish? And the word cosmic is exactly what you were just responding to, which is that there are three, you look up a dictionary and there's three parts of a
Hmm.
definition. The first part is it's universal, right? So cosmic means the universe and universal. The second level is there's an element of the spiritual and metaphysical, right? There's something in the unknown in that realm. And then the third part is that it's comprehensiveness. So my thought is you can take a wish and make it a cosmic wish by understanding the science of it. And when you
Okay.
start applying the science to it. So then you start bringing more in your control when you realize, oh, wait, neuroplasticity means I need to repeat this over 8 weeks for at least once a day. That's giving it more in your control based on science. I mean, solid
Hmm.
science. And oh, if I start looking at elevating it, like I say, the wishes need to be peaceful, positive, and purposeful. Each of those words mean a lot. There's so much energy to those words that are going to improve your ability to manifest that wish.
Yeah.
So when people say manifestation, there are so many different variations of that, right? Some people think, oh, it's like, oh, I can cross my arms and make it happen just because I wished for it and did a vision board. And some people say, no, 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 there is a frequent practice to it, which means they are applying the science to it, if that makes sense.
It does. And they seem to, I mean, to me, they all go together, whether it's wishing, manifestation, prayer, um, and changing the wiring. So changing the wiring and the
Yeah.
neuroplasticity, creating new wires and elevating your energy, your vibration, if you will, or your consciousness expansion. And it's like the fake it till you make it in a way, right? It's that it's living in the lived experience of coming back to a ritual where you are reminded constantly of the wish and staying at a level of vibration that will keep you there. Am I saying that right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're in a certain level of vibration and you're repeating it. And so the more you repeat it, then you've got the networks of your brain going, okay, I'm thinking about this. Now I'm thinking about solutions to this. Or maybe
Hmm.
I'm thinking about ways to reframe it a little bit to because I maybe I was thinking this, but now I'm kind of realizing this. And and so you start getting somebody told me, well, I wish my husband and my son would get along better. And then well, I can't do anything about that. I was like, well, honestly, though, if you were wishing that every day, you would probably be coming up with ideas to make that happen. And
Hmm.
even on an energy level, this is where it gets into the quantum and the metaphysical stuff. Like on an energy
Yeah.
level, you're opening up a pathway there, and you can't control them. And I'm not saying you should, but you never know what power you have in just your own wishes of that.
Yeah,
And
just putting it out there, right? Just being able to say, I know when I came here with my mom, I was looking for that residence home, someplace where she could really land and feel good, and we'll see how it goes. But really, I was so stuck in this, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then a friend of mine had said exactly that. She's like, just put it out to the universe. It's done, right? Like the perfect thing is just going to kind of come your way, and it has. And so there's something to just opening up the field of being able to make the wish. How often, again, we stop our wishing? How, we stop ourselves from desiring constantly, and that's what wishes are. There are true desires. And so I'm going to ask you, like, if you have any kind of wishes that you're afraid to make.
do I have wishes I'm afraid to make? I wouldn't say afraid, but I would say that I need to, because I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm learning this too, right? And I know we're going to get into the cosmic wish experiment,
Hmm.
and that you're going to be a wish circle leader, and we'll get into that in a minute. And I know that, so I know the science of it, and I'm still learning. I call it an experiment for a reason because I'm still learning too, right? We're all going to
Hmm.
be learning this at the same time and seeing what works. I just know I need to be better myself at being consistent with what that wish is, and that
Hmm.
I'm not like wishing for something different every time I see, an eyelash or, first star of the night or, whatever it is, 11:11 on the clock. I need to be consistent on the wish that I need to hone in on.
Yeah.
And that's And so it's a practice and a habit as well. But I also know that, and I also know that just this energy of getting, but even the word wish is such a great word. I mean, it's like an
Mhm.
energy to wish. It's like a
It
mantra
does.
word.
Whoosh. Hmm.
Wish. I mean, it's better than prayer or goal, right? Those are like forced words. Wish is
Hmm.
like a breath. I mean, it's like, and I did some research on the science of that. It was like so cool.
It does. It
Um,
feels magical when you say wish, right? Just the way it's
wish.
written, right?
Yeah,
Wish.
yeah.
Prayer feels denser, heavier. Yes, that words carry weight. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really interesting. And so the more
Hmm.
we do it and the more we do it, in an elevated way, that's my goal, right? That's what I want for the world.
Hmm. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, or explain to everyone what the wish circle is and what this wish circle experiment and how it works.
Yes, because I'm really, really excited working with you on this. Is basically what I'm doing, and just the preamble. People are like, oh God,
Hmm.
she's going to charge for something. No, I'm giving this to the
No?
world for free, right? This is my. If they
Yeah.
want to buy the book, they can buy the book. That's fine, but they don't have to, right? It's not at all required. But I really do believe this so much, and so that because as I said at the beginning, collective wishing has been a driver of for humanity,
Mhm.
since the dawn of, humanity. And so we need this. We need to all get together and imagine magnifying our energy. And this is where it gets into the physics and all that kind of stuff. If we're wishing the same thing, we're all wishing together for the same thing. And
Mhm.
so I started this cosmic wish experiment, cosmicwishexperiment.com. And I'm so excited for you to be a
Mhm.
wish circle leader. And basically, what you'll be doing is you've signed up to be a wish circle leader. So your people listening, hopefully, will say, "Oh, I
Mhm.
want to join that. I want to learn this process, and I want to elevate my wish as well as Gwenm's wish." And that's I'm sure you'll be talking about, like, what will your wish be? And then it's an 8-week process, and people go, oh God, 8 weeks. But that's what it takes from a neuroplasticity standpoint, right? That's the science. And it's simple, it's fun. It's like there's a game and a little tracking form. You get points, and there's like all these little fun activities. So I made it fun for a reason, because our body wants it to be fun. Our body isn't going to do something if it's not fun,
Yeah.
not for a long period of time. So and I had one person say, "Well, I don't can't give it a minute or two a day," and I'm like, "You can't give a minute or two to change the world. Then I can't help you." Like,
No, and that's the
we
thing.
should have there
There's
like a
there's a
minute.
willingness,
Yeah,
right? There's a willingness. Is do you want? And this what I love about the Swish. It's a global experiment, but it's something that just is applied into your everyday life, right? So
that's
it's not even something you may or may not see the results, but you will definitely see it within your own life, whatever it is that you're choosing to do, because it can't help but leak out into every aspect of your being.
it's going to be so
So
amazing to see
like do it in
the
the bathtub. Do it when you sit on the toilet. Like I'm like, you don't have a minute? Like seriously, when you get to the toilet while you're brushing your teeth, what
well, and
else are
that's
you
going to
thinking
be
about?
right, and that's going to be up to you to decide for your group. What's your
Yeah.
ritual, right? Is it a certain
Hmm.
time of the day? Is it you hear a bird sing, you're brushing your
Hmm.
teeth, whatever it is, and then you just make the wish and make sure as you're doing it, you're feeling the peaceful, positive, and purposeful, right? That you're feeling, and I mean, I've been using that. Just if I can't get to sleep, I'm like, let me just get to peaceful, positive, and I mean, really, there's like really, and the book gets into all the science of that. And, as I said, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to pretend to be the expert. I just pulled in 70 different scientists to put in the book.
Hmm.
So yeah, and then you'll get a playbook that's free, and you'll download that, and it's just you can print it out on your computer, fold it up. It's 6 pages, two-sided, and you fold it in a little
Hmm.
booklet. And then make your wish every day. There's a little tracker, super easy to track. You'll get to make your own wish as well as the collective wish. And then for 8 weeks, for about 15 minutes a week, there'll be an activity. And there's a lot of ways we can share the activity. We can share
Hmm.
it. We can do Zooms, or we can do videos and share the videos. There's all kinds of things that to share those. And they're fun activities. They're not like, oh
Hmm.
God, what am I going to go through this? They help you get deeper. So some of them are about looking at your blocks, some of them are about looking at what's your motivations. Some of them about a little bit, some activities in the brain science world, like the 444 breathing, I'm sure you're familiar with.
Mhm. Yep.
Everybody can benefit from that. And it's like a bingo card type of little, thing in the game.
Well,
Um,
just coming back into center, right? When you said, "Oh, well, just come back to peaceful, positive, and purposeful," right? Most people are probably thinking, like, "How the hell do I get to peaceful?" Like in a moment, and it does take a moment to go, "Oh, yeah, I can take a breath in this moment."
yes,
Right? I just need to come into center, and now I can just focus on this for 30 seconds or a minute.
that's right.
And that's yeah, and that's
And
the
that's
four,
really
four,
all
four,
it
four. Yeah,
takes. That's
yeah.
all it takes. And then you get points if you fill out the tracker, and you get points when you do little bonus activities.
Hmm.
And so, and it's all meant to be, we'll do prizes and things like that for people. And it is all meant to be fun, and it's also really powerful. And
Hmm.
I just want to see these messages. I mean, there might be some wish circles that say, may we see, market progress toward healing the planet over the next 8 weeks.
Hmm.
Or maybe, maybe we all get in touch with our bodies and really get to know and love our bodies over the next 8 weeks. I mean, can you
Hmm.
imagine just something simple like that? And how it would be if you had, two, five, 10, 100, 1,000, a million people wishing for, peace on the planet. And I'm sure all the things about it too, in terms of the Maharishi and the 1% solution. If people
Hmm.
meditate, you have more peace and less crime. So this is just a kind of another version of that.
I love it. I love it. And I do, I want people to kind of have a voice in in my global wish. I think I admitted to you that I'm a Trekkie. I am that geeky girl. I was always impacted by, Hugh, who was integrated back into the Borg. And really what it meant to me is that we're all connected. And so having a visceral experience and having a moment where that experience is kind of felt globally has always stuck with me to bring about a sense of whether it's peace or just the understanding of unity viscerally within this vessel. So bringing about more peace into the world, because I think it's absolutely what we need today. And I think it's the more consciousness is out there, the more we have opportunity for that. So I don't know. So I'm just going to put it out there. Anybody who wants to send me an email, you can do it either through just directly to me at info@luvology.com, or I'm wondering, can they do it also on the site and just kind of bring suggestions in, or they can just.
Well, what will happen is they can go to the Cosmic Wish Experiment and say, join a wish circle, and you're going to give
Mhm.
them your wish circle name so they know what wish circle. So
Yes, it's Gwenm's. I'm Gwenm's Celestial Wishes 2222 four
right.
twos.
Right, dude. And yeah, I'm sure you'll post it on your Instagram and all the places
Hmm.
where people know to
Yeah.
follow you. And we'll repeat that. And I'm Brownell Landrum, so I'll post your wish circle
Hmm.
information also on all my socials so anybody can look. Because I'm the only Brownell Landrum. I'm sure you're probably the only
Hmm.
Gwenm too.
Gwenm, yeah.
That they can find us, and then we'll say, and maybe we'll do polls or something like that to see what people think. But give us the feedback of what wish
Hmm.
that you want for Gwenm's circle, and then we'll start collecting that. And so what will happen is you'll go and join the wish circle. So you go to Cosmic Wish Experiment .com. You'll click where it says join a wish circle, and then that's going to get you into it. And then you'll get an email back saying, okay, here's your link to download everything for free.
Hmm.
And then we will be able to, engage and share with you activities and all that kind of stuff. And I want feedback, right? I'm learning. This
Hmm.
is an experiment. So you can, whatever you do wish for, if you want to start kind of, if, somewhere what like, okay, let's adjust it a little bit, or maybe we reach this level. Now we can take it to another level. That's all good too. And just have fun and change the world.
I love that it's because you say it's one wish at a time, and eventually, because my brain works like on so many different levels that it's a really good discipline just to pick one thing at a time, which I find is the most difficult for me.
It's hard for me too.
It is right. I'm like
Yeah,
I'm like okay, how many wishes can I pack into this
I
segment?
know. I'm the same way. I'm the same way, but
Right.
it's a little harder for your brain, right? I mean, again, with the
Hmm.
science, it's a little harder for your brain to hone in on, okay, I'm going to wish the same thing now.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't, then you're trying to find 50 solutions to 50 problems, and that multiplies too much, right?
Yeah.
And it is just a minute or so a day. And it's going to be fun, and we're going to see. And then, if there are
Yeah.
people listening and they say, okay, I'm going to join Gwenm's
Yeah.
wish circle, and then after that, I might do my own, and you might have your own people, or you might go to some other leader that that wants to elevate the planet and wants to get everybody in a
Hmm.
happier, a more peaceful, positive, and purposeful place. Because, admittedly, I'm going to screen the wishes. I'm not going to let some wishes come through. So if they're dark or negative, or the science very much proves wishing for is better than wishing against. We need to be lifting. Do you know
Yeah.
the David Hawkins power versus force? Do you know that scale?
Nope. Nope.
Yeah,
So,
he's a scientist, and he did this research of, like, there's the highest level energy and then the lowest level energy.
okay. Yeah.
And this is the world of power, and
Hmm.
this is the world of force. So this is when you're forcing things to happen, and this is when you're in power, that things can happen. And this is where you get into the love and joy and the higher energies. And we've so much of us are being forced down into this lower level, like between despair and anger, despair and anger. And
Hmm.
what I want to do is elevate all of us up here. And when we're up here, those people can't even bother us anymore. We're vibrating at a different level, and we're able to transcend all of the things that they're trying to do that's bad. We're bringing it into a positive place. And so, if you're talking even politics, you're like, okay, made the most peaceful, positive, and purposeful candidates
Yeah.
with. And just that says, okay, we've elevated the whole, what's up, rising tide, lifts all boats or something. And so we're going to elevate all of it. At least
Yeah,
that's.
it's for elevation. So it's essentially not, and when I say a selfish, when I'm saying throwing intentions either onto people or for, let's say, like you said, lower vibrational, right? So we're looking at elevation and not harm. We're removing harm, and it's all for the good of. And so I will put it out there that my wish has to include something delicious, juicy, in the body, in this flesh, and the experience of elevating from this place. So, you can send me your ideas. I will put it out on social media. And hone in on something, and we'll do something in the new year. I'm thinking around January 2nd to do some kind of launching would be great.
That
Start
would be
off the year. Yeah. Maybe I'll wait a few days because everybody's so gung ho on the first day,
great.
and then they tend to dwindle. So I'm like, I'm going to catch you February 1st
Well, that's
when it's
that's the
dark
beautiful
and
thing.
dingy,
You can,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that you can start it whenever you want.
Hmm.
The only thing is that if that there is a tracker, and to get the points and all that stuff within the system, you got to keep up with the tracker. If you miss a day, it's okay, but if you miss 2 days, then it gets
Yeah.
the code on the tracker gets a little wonky. But it's a fun way to just go in there and go, okay, all of my selves, because you were talking about the body, like all of my selves,
Hmm.
they all aligned on this wish, because that's one of the first
Yeah.
most important things. Is you can say, I want this, I want this job, and there might be a part, and I get into this kind of dynamic of the things you want that you have. Those are the things we
Hmm.
need to appreciate more, right? The things that you want that you don't have, those are the things we're usually wishing for.
Hmm.
And we also have to look at the things that we don't want and don't have, and we're afraid to bring on if we get this wish. So, there's a lot of really weird dynamics on it. Also, looking at, we talked about this separately, which is, the four responses. Is it yes,
Hmm.
no, wait, or something better? And so you're
Yeah.
going to be programming your mind into, like, well, how can I make it better? Or if I'm waiting, maybe there's something that I need to wait to do in the meantime.
Yeah.
So it helps you reframe all of that.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's my
Okay.
goal. That's my kind of,
Anyways.
feels like my whole life has led to trying to give this to the world, and it's just exciting to see it happening.
Hmm. It is exciting. You know what? You're just a beam of light. So, and contagious. Okay, I'm just going to transition to, we've got just a few minutes left, and I want to get through the 10 questions.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Uh, no, sorry, no. Throwing them in there, in the trenches. So, number one, What is one truth your body has always known that your mind took years to catch up to?
It really, when I realized that the body was the subconscious and that there were
Hmm.
things that what it wasn't until I was able to get to know her. And I the Huna religion, I don't know if we've talked about that, but they suggest naming your body and having to give different names. And as soon as I
Mm.
had her name and I could talk to her with her name, changed everything. It's like now she's my
Oh,
friend. It's not just part of me. This is a different self, if you will.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the most intimate moment you've ever had that had nothing to do with sex?
Um, Probably really talking vulnerability, and really being able to just share like, okay, this happened to me. Are you going to still accept me? And this happened to
Hmm.
me. Are you going to accept me? Like, am I going to just be like totally naked in that way? Right.
Hmm.
I think that's the definition of real intimacy is when you can just bear everything and like, okay, you know, either like it or don't like it, but this is who I am. And they're able to do the same thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you could be remembered for one sensation you gave someone, what would it be?
Peaceful, positive, and purposeful.
I love
All
it.
right, I couldn't resist it, but that is
No,
where I
no,
am
it's
right now.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this is great, right? These answers can change over time.
Yeah.
What's in this moment? Yeah. So if pleasure were a language, what would your first word be?
Wow.
Mm, wow. Yes. If
Yeah.
your erotic life had a title, like a novel or a film, what would it be called?
Better late than never. It's probably a Nancy Myers film. I can see her writing a movie with that title. As good as it gets, better late than never. Yeah.
What is one thing you've never said out loud, but you wish someone would ask you about?
Wow. Never said out loud, but I wish someone would ask me about.
Mhm.
Um, Gosh, that's a hard one. That one I wish I'd known in advance. I could have thought about that. Probably just some sort of deep secret, something deep part of who I am. That I'm a very open, transparent
Mhm.
person. Still, we all have dreams or things that maybe people don't know. Like, what was your most vulnerable moment in a relationship or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you. So, what part of your erotic self are you still afraid to bring to the light?
um, I guess one of my most vulnerable things is just you get to a certain age and you're like, did you just have the best that you've ever had and you're never going to have it again?
Mm.
So that would be like, and there's just more. I mean, when you hear that nursing homes have, have a lot of action going on, it
Rampant.
does.
They have a lot of action going on. It's a whole discussion we have to have at another time because, like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, whoa, yeah, like I said, my mom's just all about like, oh, the sex talk now. I'm like, my mother never spoke about it her whole
Oh,
life. So,
yeah.
okay. What dies in you when you pretend?
Hope,
And what comes alive in you when you don't?
hope.
So, finish this sentence. When I leave this life, I want my skin to remember.
Well, I actually want my body to, this is a longer question than we have time for, but I want my body to transcend and be able to be incarnated as a soul. Because I think some bodies can elevate to that level where they can actually become an entity that can become a soul. Kind of like that movie Soul, except a little different for that. So I would
Okay.
like
We'll
her to
talk
do
about
that.
that, like so, like rainbow
Yeah,
body,
that's a
kind
whole
of
nother,
yeah, yeah. It's a whole other like
that's a whole
diving
other
in.
thing, but that's what I'd like for her.
I have the same. Oh, I want I like this. Anyway, and
Yeah.
if the soul has a scent, what does yours smell like today?
My first reaction was chocolate chip cookies. I don't know why that doesn't make any sense,
Ooh,
but that
you
is a
have a
good
lot of
scent.
people following you. Yeah.
That's yeah, like that smells
And what do
good.
they say about men, right? Like they say when this attract, well, it's generally vanilla, the scent of
Oh,
vanilla. I would imagine that chocolate, vanilla, those scents, when you like cookie dough,
yeah, I don't know.
it's a
That was the thing
massive
that
turn on for men.
top of my mind was that I'm thinking I should think about a perfume, but I kind of about
No,
cookies. Fresh, out of the oven,
cookies are intoxicating, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so directing people to where they want to go, there's brownelllandrum.com and also I'm going to have you say the cosmic.
The Cosmic Wish Experiment, or cosmicwishexperiment.com.
Perfect.
And then follow me on social, ask some questions. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook even more. And so I
Yeah.
have an author face, Brownell Landrum author is that Facebook page. And yeah, reach out to us, and I'm so excited to help you kick off your wish circle.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And we're going to come back in the new year and regroup and see where we're at and launch out wishes. And so I'm excited to come back to this. I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season because we're just about moving in there. I think I have one more show next week. If you guys are like hungry on the 26th and, because you're not exhausted from Christmas and New Year's and all of that stuff. Anyway, just show up next week. Otherwise, enjoy your holidays, think about your wishes, and step into the new year with a whole breath of fresh air. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Skin and Soul with me, Gwenm. Join me Fridays at 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio. Catch the podcast anytime on your favorite platforms. You can follow me on Instagram @Luvology. Ready to take the next step? Book a compatibility call with me at gwenmcarsley.com.